Yeah. So good morning, everyone.
Is
Yeah.
there a Datuk Seri in here?
Yeah. There's Datuk Sri Chang Yin Siang.
Hi, Datuk Seri.
Hi, Datuk Sri. Good morning. Okay. Now, let me, because we have only 1 hour, let me explain what I have discovered in my last 6 or 7 years of training on sustainability and ESG. I think the approach has always been on the trying to drive the knowledge to the corporate world and trying to create a rush, all right, towards managing the ESG report in a manner that it should be as comprehensive as possible, and thinking that this is like the end of the race that everyone should follow. Now, when I being involved in training sustainability, the concept of sustainability is very internally driven by each and everyone's activities. But yet, no one understood that those activities are calculated for your personal ESG. But because people don't understand there is a personal ESG, people ignore that part because people are rushing to achieve the project implementation, the corporate strategy, and so on, and then linking it to a corporate strategy and not even linking it to the activities of the individual. So there is a disconnection between personal values and corporate values because people think that corporate values is something that you need to do without involving your personal values. So there is a disconnection, and therefore, all you have to do is just to achieve the corporate values, and none of it is to reflect personal values. Now, I have been involved in training a lot of automotive companies for the last 5 years to drive incentives for them to retain their employees. And one of the elements is to make sure that they are given very good incentive. Now, work incentive and sustainability incentive, there's no different other than achieving the KPI. If you are working for a unit or for a department or for whatever activities, you've been given a mandate to achieve or a target to be complied. But then the incentives always, but have you achieved the profitability or have you achieved the target milestones? But each and every one have not even looked at whether the practices of the individual is going to reflect the practices of the corporate. There's no connection. So today, I'm going to give you what I have developed is what we call the ESG personal report. Look at your activities of last year, which is 2025. Now, for a project sustainability, people will look at it as a project life cycle. Starting from beginning and to the end, you capture the project life cycle in a manner that the project life cycle gives you assessment on when you start and when you finish, and therefore you look at the framework of that project as your sustainable practice. Now, for an individual, everyone is involved in multiple projects, so you cannot bring that person's ESG report on a project-based analysis. An ESG report for personnel is on someone's usual activities where everyone shares the same timeline. And that is, if we are talking about the calendar month, everyone shares the same calendar month. If we're talking about 2025, from January to December, everybody shares the same calendar month. All right? So there is no differences for every individual in terms of what do they do in 1 year calendar month. Correct? So January, February till December, everyone is doing a lot of things. But what is it that you would do in that a lot of things? Now, that is where we're going to assess. Do you take a bike? Do you take a bus? Do you take a plane? Do you take a walk? Do you stay at home? All right. All these activities is a reflection of what is your decision making of the choice that you have in that 1 year calendar. And how do you then assess your decision in choosing the options? Okay, so the E and the S and the G is related to a lot of things that you purchase. Whether you purchase a ticket for a railway, you purchase a ticket for the plane, that is your choice. All right, so this is where I'm going to share with you what under the personal ESG that each and every one of you will be getting as an assessment report, provided you understood what we're going to capture and how does the report look like. All right, as an individual basis, and then we can quickly then do your mathematics. And this is where, when I give you this exercise, when I give you the link later on, after going through this exercise or workshop, then you then understand why you have to be very, very correct to the dot or to the comma of your calculation. So there's no point cheating. There's no point claiming that you did not decide this, you did not decide that, or someone else influenced. It doesn't matter. The choice is yours. But what is it that we need to know comparatively on that E, S, and G? Do you know that you also impacted personally the people and the planet? So don't look at project anymore. Look at personal reflection. So the ESG personal report is to look at what did you do last year from January to December. You can check your diary if you want to. You can check. So now, as an exercise, we'll just do a rough calculation. But when you want to do a proper calculation, that's where you need to be as exact as possible. Now, why is it personally very important to you? We are talking about ESG all over the place. If a smart genie or boy asks you, okay, we're going to do it for the corporate, we're going to do it for the project, we're going to do it for a lot of other people's activities. But what is your ESG? When you disconnect yourself with your own ESG, so there is an element of why are you bringing this value of ESG to other people and you're not reflecting on your own? So that is the most critical question. So this Google form, so I don't want to waste time. This Google form gives you an indication of there is an element for you to do, to trace your ESG calendar. Now, for the future, it will be very much cheaper or much, much easier because you are starting in January. And by the end of December on 2026, you got a full range that you're going to plan for 2026. But let's look at your baseline, your base year. What did you do in 2025 for you to then step to see, hey, my ESG report in 2025, I was more this than that, than this and that. So in my 2026 calendar, I would then know where did I plan well and what is it that I think I want to do more. So there is a direction for you to do. But if your 2025 is not checked, there's no point for you to get the ESG calendar without you understanding what are you comparing with. Okay? Now, so let me, and if everybody talk about traceability, trackability, trustworthy, now this is the time. Share it within your own self, your traceability, your trackability, your trustworthy on your own ESG performance. Now, many people would not know because they never track it. You have never tracked it. But yet we talk about traceability. All right, so let's look at an exercise on how you want to do this together with me. Of course, I will look at your activity of your personal profile. This will definitely look at what are your characteristics in terms of, are you working full-time, part-time? So it gives a justification of what you do, okay? So there's no right or wrong answer. So let's look at your environment. The environment is always, we look at your choice of your activity. Your number one is your mobility, your transit footprint audit. All right, so here the instruction is whether in whatever your activity, let's say Daniel go to Malacca. I want to try a trishaw lah. I think I don't want to take the Grab, I take a trishaw. That is also calculated. But instead of I going to a trishaw, I think I'm going to walk. At least 1 mile I walk. That is also calculated. So don't think that, I only calculate what I pay through the Grab or I pay through only my plane and all that. No. Even the choice to say, today I'm going to work from home, that is also calculated in terms of your saving of your mileage, your saving of your distance. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to bring you to a very different mindset. And when I did this exercise to many people, maybe online or physical, they start to then realize, I never knew that my ESG is like this. All right, and everyone that I brought in, I bring the people who are trainers, who are coaches, who are consultants, who are so busy sharing what sustainability is, ESG is. But when I realized that everyone did not know about their own personal capacity of understanding ESG, then why are we sharing a lot of the ESG element to only to the corporate when the employees have no idea what the corporate is trying to do? Okay, now let's do one big exercise. So bring your pen, a pencil, and calculator. If you have a phone, use your calculator. Okay, we're going to ask questions, basic questions. Please calculate your total annual walking distance to your workplace. How many times do you walk to your workplace? Let's say you always go to a place, to a standard workplace or to a shop or whatever. Calculate how many times you go to a work. And if you do it like, it's just my neighbor, I'm just around the corner. It is only 2 kilometers away. And this is talking about walking. And let's say you go jogging. And let's say you go to the shop. You have to calculate, even though it's just 1 mile away, calculate. How many times in that year do you do that?
If you work from home?
From home, from your base.
No, so
now, don't say today I shift houses and therefore I don't have any home. We're talking about 2025.
Yeah, so if you work from home, that would be 0, right?
No, we're not. We are looking item by item. We're talking about walking distance at the moment. Walk. How many times do you walk? Whether you're going to a job, whether you're going to office, whether you are going to a shop. How many times in a day do you walk? What's the distance? And then we can total it up by the number of days per year. Very simple mathematics. You put it as a round. I'm not looking for an exact number, but you can at least estimate. Let's say in a week, example of a week, I do it only once. Okay, once. And how long is that once? Maybe 2 kilometers. Okay. So once in a week, you kali by 52 lah. Right? So it's a very simple mathematics. But the frequency, you can either do it weekly, daily, monthly. Right? Then you can times by 12 or times by 52 or times by only by just by the frequency. If you only do it 3 times a year, times by 3 lah. Okay? So This is talking about trustworthiness, about ourselves. There is no right or wrong answer. So don't get worried. Oh, I never do that. It doesn't matter. It's about your activity. We are not comparing apples to someone and whatever. Okay? Next one. Your private car. If you were to travel your private car, if you to do this, even though people have their own calculation in the mileage in how many kilometers they travel, that would be good. But you don't start it from January. You normally start it from a distance, whatever. So if you use a car, your own personal car, if you have a car, what's the distance of your traveling? If you do it, like say, I travel 3 days in a week and I use my car, on average is 10 kilometers. So, 3 kilometer kali 52 times by 52. Now, I hope everyone here, whoever is here in this workshop, are doing it. I don't want you all to simply like, just to listen. Listening is not an activity for ESG. It has to be activated. You got to calculate. Yeah, Dato', I know Murugan is here. Shuhada, do your math, because after this, when I give you the Google form, you can fill it up. Okay? Next one.
Do you want to use me as an example and fill up on the way?
Ada. Nanti I show you the example. Everybody wants to see an example. There's a dashboard.
No. Use me as the example and you fill it up.
An example is there. If you travel an average 700 kilometers a month.
I know.
So it's about math. It's a maths. All right? And then if you're driving by a private car, what type of petrol are you using for your personal car? Whether it's a premium, whether it's a diesel, okay, whether it's a gas, whether it's an EV car. Just write down. And if you love to travel by train, how many kilometers do you travel by train? Let's say you go to Ipoh, you go to Penang, you go to wherever, even though within your own city, you travel by train. Now, you can Google, even by train, how many kilometers to go from one place to another. They will give you the answer. All right? Now, an estimate will do. There's no exact science here yet, because you are doing a rough estimation. That's why it's a reflection of what you did in 2025. Okay? Now, annual air travel. So there's a lot of people who travel. Let's say go to Dubai, but it's a return trip. So one trip to Dubai is 5,000 kilometers. All right? So, kalau to and fro, you come back, will be times 2. But if you do that 10 kali, every month I go to Dubai, then kali 10 lah. Okay? Cruise. I took a cruise. To where? Oh, I pergi Turkey, I take the Danube River cruise. It was a nice view, yeah. But how many times do you do cruising or boat or ferry? And this is an interesting discovery, which you have never probably people understood. Right? Motorbike. What about motorbike? Scooter. How many times a year do you use scooter? Or do you use a motorbike? Whether to work, whether you go to someone's friend's house. Yeah. Bicycle or trishaw. Bicycle or trishaw. Whether in Penang or in Ipoh, in Malacca, in Johor, in Singapore. If you have done that, calculate the time. And carpool. on your Grab, whether it's Gojek, whether it's Grab, whether it's Uber, someone drive you, right? Even though your girlfriend drives you, you got to calculate that. Work from home. How many times do you stay at home and never go to office or never go anywhere? But you say, I want to do and work from home. So if you work from home means your kilometer to your office is considered your round trip. So you consider that as the number of days you work from home as a number of days that kilometer is being calculated, but it's work from home. So if your office is 15 minutes away and it's just 3 kilometers away, but you do work from home maybe 3 times a week, 2 times a week, then you calculate as the number of kilometers work from home. Okay, so there's no such thing as every minute not count. In personal ESG, every single thing counts, even though you work from home. Any questions so far? All right, so this is not the first time that you all are doing. I've sent this Google form to many countries, to many people, to many. So they have got their report and they'll be amazed to see what happened in their 2025. Now, let's now look at your purchasing. How many electrical and hardware have you purchased last year? I only need a number. What's your answer? Is it a laptop? Is it a phone? Is it what they call an extension wire? Is it a refrigerator? Is it a TV? What did you purchase last year that is related to electronics? Smartphone, earphone, right? iPad. Yep. Yes. So the number of items will reflect a lot of information. All right, because we are all busy by purchasing, and therefore that will be related. Recycling. Your activity of recycling. What's the percentage of the materials you buy, you divert it from the landfill? Let's say in 1 week, you normally throw 4 bags in a week. And out of the 4 bags, 1 bag is a recycle bag. So therefore, your percentage is 25%. All right? So in a week or in a month or whatever. So we want to know your percentage of recycling so that there is an exact number of what is the activity that you do. Now, if you do not recycle, you throw everything, just write down, put the percentage. All right? So this is where we have to admit our action. This is your own personal ESG. Now, general waste. What is your kiloweight or kilogram or bags as a general waste? Let's say you buy food, you buy whatever, paper, and you throw it away. Many elements of that. How many of it can you calculate as a bag? And if you are good in recycling and you do not want to dispose all that and you have it as an e-waste, so do you have it certified that you want to be recorded for your e-waste. All right? Or whether you resell or whatever. Okay? Your e-waste. Digital versus physical shopping now. All of us are very good at shopping. We want to know how many times you go online shopping and how many times you go for physical shopping. All right? If your online shopping is more than physical, it's okay. If it's 100% online, 100% online. If you say only 10% physical, it's 10% physical. Whatever that you buy, you know your own behavior of buying. And there's nothing wrong about that. We are reflecting what we do so that you can create your baseline regarding your behavior. Okay? So, your digital versus your physical shopping is very important because it will reflect many things on your carbon footprint. And also, since if you are buying a lot for the online, we need to know the last mile of your carbon footprint. How many times is it delivered to you? Now, there's a lot of things that you purchase online that may not be delivered. Let's say you buy software, you buy an apps, it's not delivered, but you buy online. But there are certain elements you got it delivered to your home. So you need to calculate how many times are items delivered to where you are for whatever you purchase. Okay, a rough estimate. And a good question is, do you research about the item before you purchase? For example, some people will say, oh, I want to see whether there's uranium inside there. Oh, I want to know whether there is carbon inside there. Or I want to know, is our behavior able to see that we are concerned about the planet? That's why we ask the question. Some people say, oh, I want to make sure it's halal. I don't care whatever it is as long as it's halal. So that is also trackable here. How many times do you look at the label? Whether it's eco-friendly, whether it's ethical, whether it's recycling. Some people just purchase without even looking at the label. Okay? All right, that finished for the environment yet, because I wouldn't want to go to the detail because this is personal. But if we are going to do it for HR, for employees, all right? So there need to be a coach. This is the reason why if you, let's say, Daniel, you want to coach a company and you want to do the ESG report. So we're going to do, whether you're going to do it online, whether you're doing physical. So you need to explain what are we going to collect from them on the data based on their 365 days. Even though the company says, I'm electronics, I send them, there's a dormitory, I send them, they don't go anywhere. That is on the social factor of the company, we can calculate in terms of its ESG for their personnel. So there's a difference regarding corporate ESG and personal ESG. What does the employee do? All right? And have they been incentivized based on their approach? If they were to ride a bicycle every day, or someone was just to take a walk every day, will have been reducing carbon. It's not about status here. Someone who's probably in the past would say, hey, kita naik Mercedes lah, kita naik. But if someone were to take MRT, someone was to take a walk or take a bike or take a scooter, their choice is much more better probably as compared to someone who's burning carbon. You see the difference, Daniel?
Yeah.
So it's not about status here. It's about practice. Personal practice that can be rewarded. Okay? Now, let's look at social. And social is interesting. It's our social capital. Every one of us are very, very strong in our social relationship. So we need to know how much time, normally, if you are working in a company, that you spend time probably with your boss, with your colleague, with your whoever. So there's a differentiation between staff and leadership, which the one under your control, the one that is above you. Your colleagues and peers, which is people who are just surrounding you, people that you know, but they're not directly working with you. Of course, your community, the people that you know are somehow linked to you because you know you need to communicate with them and all that. And then your family and inclusive group, the people that you closely want to be associated with sometimes because they are having a relationship with you, your mother, your parents, your grandparents, or whatever, your auntie. So here's the question. On your annual professional capacity, the average number of times you meet with your boss, with your staff. Let's say 1 hour a day, I meet with my boss. Or 1 hour a day, I meet with my direct employee or the person who I know, whom you pay or whom you work with. How many hours a day and how many times do you communicate? All right. Your annual internal social capital here, how many hours do you spend with management, with supervising? Now, normally, if you are an employee, most of the time you meet your superiors, you meet your staff. So there is a total understanding about the number of hours per week for meeting, for mentoring, times by the number of weeks. Your external social impact, your advocacy, yeah. You spend time in linking, you spend time in networking, in advocacy, in NGO discussion, in Facebook, in TikTok. Let's say an hour a day, or 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, that is also calculated. All right? Nothing is losing time. Your deep work, now deep work and mental productivity, this is where you spend time alone, doing your own research, doing your own, what I call, I would say, no, I don't say hibernation, but you spend time, your me time, we call that. How many time do you have your me time? Means you only focus about what you want to do and not being disturbed by anyone else, by your boss, by your colleague, by your peers. This is where you have your me time. Everybody have their own me time. Okay? And then your peer support, your peer meeting, your industry. How many times you go for a industry workshop? I attend an exhibition. I go and do a meetup. Oh, there is a conference, there is a webinar, there is a whatever social event. That is also calculated, your industry networking. And of course, your time spent with your family, with your sisters, with your mothers, whoever, whether it's with your loved ones, is very closely, very important to you, culturally, religiously, or whatever is it, number of times, even though for a birthday. Now we look at governance. Now, governance is a bit more interesting because it's not about control, it's about knowledge. Personal reading, attending a webinar to know what is ISO, what is ESG, all right? What is Baliola? And ethical discussion. Ethical discussion. And Dr. No, I want to know, what is cyber law? What if I don't comply to this? Hey, I have a friend who is negligence. Now, what do we do? What law do we need to focus on? There's an element of ethical discussion. Do you have any ethical discussion with your peers? And how many hours do you think have you spent in the last 365 days? Even though you're gossiping about it, lah, corruption, that is corruption. That is also ethical discussion. If In an hour, you discuss about the politics, about the corruption, about the unethical behavior of who and who, who and who and who and who. That is ethical discussion. Nothing is wasted. Now, managing supply chain and partners, a lot of people have their own service providers or contractors or people that you know will be servicing you. So how many hours in the year have you done that? Discussion with them, be it for people with your partners and so on. Direct client, how many times have you met with a customer, with a client, where you know you are negotiating with them for a deal, for a purchase, for a business, whatever it is, the number of hours spent with your client. And also site visits, looking for evidence, looking for assurance, looking for the truthfulness of the information. You go for a site visit. That is also accountable in governance. All right? So, looking at how you look at governance itself, so a lot of it is related to your interest to know. All right? Your interest to know. How many times do you do your self-directed research? Hey, I want to know that now the government of Malaysia is doing a new policy, or there is a blueprint, or Singapore blueprint is now being released. I read through it. That is accountable for the number of papers you download and you read. Okay? Let's say 2 hours of reading per week on looking at policy papers, looking at whoever, whatever that you do, the government is doing. You visit to the website every day. That is accountable. All right? Personal development. I need to know. I need to go to a webinar. I need to be trained. I need to understand what's going on they talk about. This is personal development. Your professional way, because you are going to be a service provider, you're going to become a trainer, you're going to become a speaker. You are definitely not going to do it without your own professional development. Why are you a speaker? Definitely something that has been converted in your brain in terms of your knowledge, right? That's a professional development. How many hours that you attend on webinars, on conference, be it online, whatever. Peer-based ethical calibration. This one is personal talk with people whom you trust, whom have got ethical issues, whom you believe want to listen to your views. And Daniel, I need your advice. What happened? I'm breaking up with my family. Okay, let's talk. What happened? I'm going to fire my staff. Oh, what happened? I found her cheating. Okay. That's the number of advice I will spend. Let's say last year, there were 10 people who came to you and they took your advice. All right? Whether it's a coffee talk, whether it's a peer-to-peer mentoring, that is taken into account. Your business partners, of course, when you are a service provider, you want to talk to the people whom you know can support you or you can support them. There's a lot of long hours of discussion. What can we do together? What we can strike together? So how many partners you have last year? And how many partners happen or didn't happen? It doesn't matter. But how many times do you meet them? It's not about the success rate. It's about the number of times you went to discuss. And whether it happened, it doesn't happen, it's a matter of a choice. But you met them in terms of your governance. You discuss until the end, you say, no, I don't think there's going to be a deal. There is a governance issue that it probably doesn't work. Your client, the one that probably has been paying you for the services that you have given, definitely you go and visit them again, and you say, this time I'm going to do better, or this time I'm going to do more, or this time I'm going to strike this. You meet with them. They just want to know what are your contribution for the next one. It's your client. We don't want to say what are the people saying. Sometimes you yourself go and take a strong evidence-based learning. I want to go and see how it's done. Even though you spend 2 hours, at least I know, I can see at the site, I can see at the discussion, there is evidence of what I believe I want to know. That is, again, a verification. So, all this doesn't get to a reason. All right? So once you have done your ESG, then you start to realize, hey, I need these for what? Either you want to lower your expenses. Hey, I keep on buying online. I better stop buying. You want to have a better, proper budgeting. Hey, I need to give more to people whom they deserve. Or I need to spend less on all these non-recyclable items because I'm accountable for that recycling. And of course, wastage. We know, we see, when you look at the garbage, 4 times in a week, it's all wasted food. Right? So all that, you probably will have a different version of what are you going to do next after this? Are you going to have a proper strategy on your procurement and your choice of mobility and to look at it seriously? Because the question asked is for you to think deep. I did not know, and neither do I calculate all this while, but now we are calculating. So you then look also, which one I'm strong about? Have I ignored the people factor? Everyone has got relationship with me. Which one did I focus more? Was it community? Is it my staff? Is it only the client? But every day we meet people, but we never believe that the people influence us. Remember, your roommates are also people. How many hours do you spend with your roommates? With your children, with whatever. And then the shift for the governance. If everything you say, I don't know, I'm not interested. But then what's going to happen to your choices and your purchasing when you ignore the point that people are already calculating very deeply into the issue of governance, ethics, corruptions, non-compliance, carbon tax? How much do you think we can ignore now? Of course, all these things are confidential. So these are some basic questions for your ESG personal report. So before I show you what you need to see as a report, I just want to ask a few questions. How many of you understood this purpose of this personal ESG reporting? Yes, Morgan. Siti, Datuk Sri, Syuhada, Daniel, for first
Yeah.
time, I see you speechless.
No. I'm just giving chance to other people to speak. It definitely put it into perspective. It gives a framework to assess yourself. And I think the importance is, like what you said, Dr. Noor, everyone talks about ESG at a corporate level, even at a country level. But what contributes to those we have never talked about? And those are people like us. And I think it is a great starting point. like what you say, is just a estimate that is sometimes private to us, how much time we spend with family and all that. It also doesn't just give a how much carbon footprint you save or you burn. It also gives a hard print of how much time you spend with family and so on. So it gives a balanced assessment, honest, if you want to keep it confidential or not, of oneself beyond the measurable carbon footprint kind of discussion into a life print discussion.
Interesting is, let's look about our own self. We don't need to
Yeah,
talk about other people now. We talk about our own self, all right? So
which we
here's a
which we
report.
seldom
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah, which all of us don't do because everyone is so busy trying to teach each other about
Right.
ESG and sustainability and telling people you must do this, you must do that. But no one understood the report of their own.
Can I also say one more thing? That this actually becomes the foundation of the formulation of our personal culture to self, as well as in aggregation, a corporate culture to companies. Because if we do not foster this in, from a personal perspective, they always say charity always starts at home. And now the new one is sustainability always starts with self. Then we will not be able to achieve, for example, corporate goals, community goals, industry goals, and country goals, because we haven't even examined the most basic element of ESG, which is ourselves.
Yeah. So that is why when I realized that when I talk to companies, corporates, and they asked me to look at ESG for their own corporate world and all that. When I went down to each and every one level, they have no idea what all this thing is all about. They have no idea what the corporate is trying to do, their boss is trying to do, because no one understood it on a personal capacity. But even though you want to train them, it doesn't touch their soul.
Mm.
It doesn't touch their soul because they have never calculated what they. So this is where this year to 2026, I'm going to be very, very strong on personal ESG. Get your personal ESG compass and direction before you want to talk about assessing project, assessing corporate level, because those are just investors' interests on corporate strategy, whereas our employees is the one who practices it in your company, and yet no one capture it holistically. Okay? Now, here's a report which I'm giving to you as an example of people who have taken my test, my assessment. And this is very interesting. All right? So you will be given a report to say, whatever data you put there, it will be captured. Just like any other, everybody's software says, oh, you key in the data, you will get it into a dashboard. Now, personal ESG, you can do that. All right. So I have developed already an apps, and it's registered under my IPO called Trace. That's why Trace is registered. It's copyrighted already. So look at the numbers of data that for personal ESG, which no one really understood all this while. But when you look at our personal capacity, is it interesting to see what do you do in 2025 for yourself?
Mm.
Words may not give a meaning, but if you are a mentor to your staff, all right, and you are a guide to your group of companies, we always want to show about the company's E, S, and G based on their energy efficiency, based on their waste management. But let's look at the personal one. You can calculate even how much digital work or how much home base, deep work. Then this is your personal, your peer networking. You can get it. Even your mobility, your private car, your air travel, your transit, your walking, Isn't it interesting to see your own data?
Very.
Isn't it interesting to see your own data than to see your corporate data?
Well, this is more impactful too. This
Of
is more
course,
impactful because it's about us.
it's for your individual choice.
Yeah.
And if they understood what ESG is about, do you think they then understand what the company is trying to save?
I would turn it around, Dr. No, and say in understanding everyone's ESG in the company now could formulate the corporate ESG goals differently versus setting a target based on finger in the mouth, up in the air, and do guesswork.
Yeah. So even though your own governance is talking, people talk about governance just like nothing. Oh, it has to be board of right, how many board of equivalent gender and all that. There is a corporate level, which a lot of people don't understand where is it related to the governance of it. But when you look at your own governance, your own personal governance, how much of it that you do to gain your knowledge, to control your risk, your own risk. And we talk about value management. How much of that governance impact you if you did not have understanding what did you do in the last 365 days? All right. So how much of that omission, we talk about carbon footprint, talking about carbon credit, carbon omission, how many of that is being omit as a carbon offset? Then only people can understand what is carbon offset, what is carbon omission. When you never attempt to calculate your own data, we only want to look at what other people are doing around us without even understand, are we omitting our own carbon? When you work at home, when you have deep working, you have deep thinking. So my software talks about how you want to avoid waste and all that. That's more about the written. But I'm going to give you more dashboard, okay? More reflecting dashboard regarding the statistics, yeah? We have many, we normally do up to 25, 15 to 25 data capture, all right? To give a version of what did you do in 365 days in the year of 2025. Even when you work from home.
Wow. It's very comprehensive.
Device purchase, all your electrical items is a carbon footprint. Everybody did not understood carbon footprint, and they keep on purchasing. They keep on buying.
It could be quite scary, right, Dr. No?
Well, as I say, it's a reflection for
Yeah.
2025. And therefore, when we give you the ESG calendar for 2026, you then start to be cautious. This week aku buat apa ya? This week, did I do anything on social or not? Did I do anything on governance or not? Did I do anything on environmental or not? So when we talk about trackability, traceability, objective-oriented, we need to know what did we had last year in our normal practice. Generally, we travel, we work, we meet people. But when we give you this kind of report, you then start to see, I did not know about my own personal ESG.
Now I'm eager to fill up the spreadsheet to see what my report looks like.
Yeah. So depend on the interpretation, work-life balance, they can capture it. Everybody talk about work-life balance, they don't know how to do it. But under my ESG personal report, you can see your work-life balance. And don't you think this is what HR is trying to find out? Not about giving them talk on work-life balance. Check on your ESG, you can calculate the work-life balance. Why are you talking about just give someone to coach and to guide on work-life balance when you did not look at their own personal ESG? So many things that the HR would like to see, and this is where my focus this year is the ESG personal report to companies. And a lot of HR find that this is more interesting than trying to do a corporate ESG, because this is what life is all about. Managing people's attitude and practices. Corporate ESG is very much for the business, but personal ESG talk about the practices about we impacting the world ourselves. Interesting?
Yep.
And your governance time? There's no right or wrong answer. It's a reflection of your 2025. It's not a wrong or right answer. What do you do? So how can you plan better for 2026?
Okay.
Your ESG pillar.
So in the link, do we have the spreadsheet or do we load?
I will give you the link for you to answer correctly, and then we will give you the report. That's why one report is 150 ringgit plus coaching. So for you to guide, for you to be support online. Not many people understood all this, and they need coaching. They need, what do I do now next? I need to improve on this. What can you get some piece of advice? Give me some piece of advice, right? So especially for the HR. So feedback now.
I'm blown away. I mean, this is something that, sometimes we go about life blindly. This tells us where is the shore and where is the destination, and through the coaching, how to get there. So it's not just a sustainability report. It is as I said, a life report to ground you in reality that is probably only known to you, and set the direction to get to where you want to get to. I mean, like your sustainability assessment. I think companies always say, I want to get here, but they don't know where they are. And without knowing where they are, getting there, the gap is unknown. And how do you bridge that gap if you don't know what that gap is? So this is a personal version of that, I guess.
Yeah. And not only that, the purpose of life is always written in our first philosophy of life, be whatever religion you're in. It's mentioned in your philosophy of life. So your ESG report will reflect your philosophy of life.
Thank you. I like starting the morning like this because it gives you purpose.
Yeah. The rest, can I get feedback? Even though I don't see your face? Murugan, Huda, yeah, Shuhada, Dato, Sri. We are here to discuss. Yes, please.
I think this is the new kind of personal evaluation for me. Because before this, we never evaluate ourselves using this kind of evaluation metrics. Like before, maybe we evaluate ourselves using our own KPI, our own yearly and annual goals. But this is very different because what we are not biased to our only to our view, but this is the view that standardized and international lah. This is kind of mind blown for me.
You don't need to learn a framework. It's all about what did you do and what is your choices last year. And that is your ESG. It's nothing to do what you know or you don't know about sustainability or not. It's your activity that you do every day.
Like what you say is a reflection. You can't go back and change it, but you can go forward in changing it.
That's why we're going to give you the ESG calendar for you to have your ESG compass. Okay, for this week, for next month, you plan. And you pause. Should I do this? Because I have to report on this for my own ESG. That's why it's become very holistic about your purpose, about understanding sustainability. It's not about protecting companies' corporate business and ignoring your own personal purpose.
Yep.
Okay, Dato' Sri, can I get some views from you? 1 minute.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Hi,
Morning.
good morning, Doctor. Yeah, I put on the chat room also. I think this is a great self-assessment on, especially on all this personal ESG lah. Frankly speaking, I haven't thought of that as some kind of assessment to to assess myself on ESG lah. I think this is a very good insight on myself lah, especially on ESG. I think Doctor, you got a great point. So if even though our own self also didn't know about all this ESG and don't have this kind of assessment, then don't even talk about in the company itself lah. I think leaders always have to take the leads. If I mean as a executive to executive in the company, even though we also don't know about all this on our self-assessment, how we gonna ask all our staff to follow us and follow our leads, you see. So I think this is quite a good assessment on the personal ESG lah. This is my point lah. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
For
For
sharing.
those, the coaches, the trainers, let's give them the assessment. Then only we talk about corporate ESG. Then we talk about the project ESG. We talk about what is it that we want to save so that they understand themselves. Because what is it they manage also? Are they managing their own mobility, managing their own choices, their own purchasing? When they start to look at, oh, now we're going to bring it to another level, which is the community where you work with. The community there need to look at what is our group ESG, because we need to look at that. Then only they start to see the impact of the group. And then you look at the project, and then you look at the corporate. Then they start to see higher up. If you only bring higher up and then only ask the people on the ground, just give me the data, for up, they will never reach it to their soul. What exactly what you are doing? They have no idea. Right? They have no idea, because everyone is looking at ESG as a knowledge of the professionals, or even trainers like Murugan, like coming from polytechnics. Everybody's looking at the jargon as if that is a job-related jargon and thinking that is job title, when it's more also related to your personal practices. It's related to personal practices. Right. Okay. Murugan, one last word from you.
Yes, Doctor. I think I think it's the second time I hearing this ESG. First of all, before we going to give a training or coach others, I think it's a best way we practice ourselves and we report what is reporting we do. That reporting will be a benchmark for us to confidently we deliver what we are going to do next. I think this is a very good initiative. Sure, we will join to do this ESG, self ESG. Thank you.
Thank you, Murugan.
Thank you.
Now, my one last minute statement is, my report is an assured report. When I give a report, I give you a signature of an assured report, meaning there's no tampering on your data, all right? That's why we coach. We want to make sure that do it ethically, do it for the purpose of understanding your own ESG. It's nothing about racing or trying to create to be a champion, nothing. It's a holistic view about your ESG. It's a holistic representation. So it's not a linear thinking. It's nothing to do about racing to reach to an objective. It's about looking at your holistic manner that involves people, planet, prosperity, in terms of your product, your processes. It involves that. Even though you don't need to understand those elements, but by having this data, it gives you a reflection of what we need to know, right? Even a layman, if we give them this report, they will know what they want to do. And we need to reward people whom they did not know that they save more than anyone else. So if you start to compare the boss end to the people on the ground, who is giving a more emission? And that's where when you have the ESG report, you get to then see justice. Fairness, integrity, and commitment.
And based on facts.
Yes. So it's for everyone. It is not just meant only for the very few. So my ESG person report is for everyone. All right. So as an SSO, as a compliance person, as a person who is on sustainable practices, I want to make sure that this is authentic for you to get your ESG report coming as an assured report. Meaning, even though you publish it, you want to share it, it is not your own self-calculation. It's under an assured compliance to ensure that it's checked. Now you understand why compliance on your reporting is important. A third party to ensure that whatever you say, the dashboard gives you a reflection about your data. It's directly related to the ESG of the corporate. It's the same. It has to be verified. It has to be assured. It has to be truthful in the reflection. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. I know I've taken 10 minutes extra. I wanted to do it always in 1 hour. I want it compact, concise, precise. So for those who I'm not sure whether I have your mobile number or not, please text me at 012-398-1246. All right. Text me at 012-398-1246 so that I can give you the link and you all can start doing your ESG calculation, but no rush. Do it properly, and then I can give you the report beautifully written to reflect your 2025 activities. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Bye.